I finally got my results for my ancestry ethnicity DNA. It's sort of approximately what I thought. I mean, if anybody doesn't already know, I think it's very clear. I have a white mother and a black father. Now, my mother is from a region in the Iberian Peninsula and they all speak Spanish. Although they say they're of Italian descent and some of the food and stuff we eat is still Italian. Although we do have taken on the Spanish culture also. But I've always been pretty sure that there was a couple of other things in there. I mean, they've always said there was English in them, fair enough. But I think they also said that, that's it, I could see bits of what I thought was Chinese in them, and some maybe a little bit of culture. And my father always guessed that it was Japanese, but, you know, we're not quite sure about that. Whilst my father is from the Caribbean. So I just got my results in. And my results say that I am 51% European and 49% African. And here is the breakdown. I am 21% Italian. And they've also found the birth certificate of my grandfather from part of Italy. My grandfather was Italian, but he died at a young age when my mother was a small baby, although he did marry my grandmother. So, you know, we could never quite be sure, I guess. But they found the records also. He was born in Italy and I'm 1/4 Italian. Also, going back to the European side, okay, I am 12% Iberian Peninsula. Fair enough. I've always maintained that it was a mixture of Spanish, Italian and English, and fair enough. I'm 12% Spanish, which is 1/4 Spanish for my mother. Fair enough. And then here comes the unexpected thing. I did a bit of research into her home country, and I actually thought, well, because we've got these sort of blonde genes, so I thought that maybe it was Sweden, from what I've seen. But it actually turns out that I'm 8% Scandinavian, which means my mother is 16% Scandinavian. So that's it. I thought it was Swedish, but it turns out it was Scandinavian. I'm also traces. I'm 5% Irish. I'm not sure if it's 5% from my mother's side or maybe 4% from my mother's side and 1% from my father's side, but it's 5% Irish. And Finland, Northwest Russia, 2%, which means my mother is 4%. That's where that Chinese connection comes in that my father thought was Japanese. It's not, because I think recently, a few months ago, I started to think that maybe it was Inuit Eskimos, like, you know, those type of Eskimo type nomad tribes, that may be from Canada, where the French and Spanish have been, and that's how it sort of got into the Iberian Peninsula. But it turns out, no, it's not that. It's Finland, Northwest Russia, which means it's a ruddy Eskimo running through the female line. Anyway, other than that, I'm 2% United Kingdom British and less than 1% Eastern European. And yes, now going on to my father's side. My father is from the Caribbean, of course. And it turns out now that we've always known that we are Ghanaian descent. And of course, they're saying, top statistic, I am 16% Ivory Coast, Ghana. 13% Benin, Togo, which means my father is 32% Ivory Coast, Ghana, and he is 26% Benin, Togo. And what I could see, maybe when I looked at my photographs, I always used to think, I look a little bit Nigerian, don't I? Guess what? I'm 8% Nigerian. 7% Cameroon, Congo, with traces of Mali, 2%, and African South Central hunter-gatherers, less than 1%. And Senegal, less than 1%. The only other statistic I could say is that they said just about 1% of North Africa. But that is not from my mother's side, my father's side, that is from my mother's side. So my father is maybe 95, 96% African and maybe 4 to 5% English, Irish. Whilst the 1% North African comes from my mother's side, who's about 12% Moroccan. That's it.